We are ready to start general session, Pledge of Allegiance, led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today we are celebrating World Autism Day with Autism Speaks, and we've got a special guest here today. I know we've got our good friend Michael Hartley, and with him he's got somebody else. Michael, you want to come up with your other guest from Autism Speaks? And we are recognizing the 12th annual World Autism Day. And Michael, we've had you here for about 10 years, huh?
Well, a little shorter than that, but I think the last 5 or 6 here have made the annual visit to you all. And again, always appreciate your kindness and acceptance and willingness to recognize and bring awareness to autism. So I have with me Sherry Weithman, who is the director of the Columbus Autism Speaks and kind of does everything when it comes to the Autism Walk. Mm-hmm. She has a little gift for everybody that we'll talk about here shortly. I see Commissioner O'Grady's not here, so
he's parking his car. So
okay. I can get in the shots before he gets here then.
Yeah.
In fact, he wasn't for Baker Mayfield. All right. So, again, this is April 2nd is World Autism Day, and April is World Autism Month. And just to give you some kind of facts and figures here, in the U.S. alone, we're talking 1 in 59 children are affected by autism. When my son was diagnosed in 2011, I believe that was 1 in 110. So it's again, increasing. I think that has something to do with the availability of diagnosis as we go forward. Globally, there's about 70 million people with autism. And through the autism spectrum disorder, you can diagnose as early as 2, but the average is in the United States is about 5. And studies actually indicate that low-income and minority children are diagnosed at later ages. So Autism Speaks, part of the projects that we're working on and Sherry's working on is committed to closing that diagnosis gap so all children can receive the support as early as needed, because as we go through therapies and things like that, the earlier you can start working with the child, the better the results tend to be.
Are the outcomes better for a child when you get earlier intervention?
Studies show that's the case. I know, my son was 4 years old, so which is about the average. But we know of folks that even earlier. And again, each when you have a spectrum, you're dealing with different lower in the spectrum, higher in the spectrum. So a couple other points. So one of the big things, I have a son who's turning 12, and one of the things that Autism Speaks, and in the autism community, a big thing is transition, what's called transition. That's when they go from, childhood to adulthood. What are they going to do? And there's approximately 50,000 people with autism that age out of school-based services each year. And, for the parents, that's a big point. That's a big pressure point. And so the Browns drafted Baker Mayfield #1.
Awesome. Great way to start the morning.
Whatever. And everybody but John O'Grady was happy about it.
Everybody but Commissioner Boyce.
So nearly one half of 25-year-olds with autism have never held a paying job, though many are ready, willing, and able to work. And that's something with our son where, I ask him, what do you want to do? And he either wants to be a firefighter or design video games. So that, you have that. But, there's skills that they bring that I think you've seen. There's a lot of community work around providing jobs to folks on the spectrum. So what Autism Speaks is doing is working to provide people with autism and their families with information they need to prepare as you transition, because you have to start kind of doing that even now as our son's turning 12, and to allow them to be successful all stages of life. For most, autism is a lifelong condition. And, we believe that people with ASD and their families should have access to effective intervention, services, supports throughout their lifetime, and so they can lead lives that are full and meaningful. And that's why we fought so hard in the previous years to bring mandated coverage to the state of Ohio, which we were successful in, which just creates an easier path to access. So with that, Sherry, do you want to add anything?
Sure. Again, thanks for having us. I wanted to say, since it's World Autism Month, that World Autism Awareness Month, that awareness, we need more than just awareness. It has to be understanding and acceptance, and it's through that understanding and acceptance that we really open doors for everyone who lives with ASD and lives with autism spectrum disorder. So really appreciate you opening up your meeting for us and having us today and talking about a very important topic, because just as Michael mentioned, employment, transition services, we want every child with autism to have a successful and wonderful, meaningful life. And it's through that understanding and acceptance that we'll get there. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Brought goodies.
The cookies.
Yes, you want to talk a little bit about what Panera's doing?
Yes, well, obviously it's our fundraiser for Panera. We do it every single year. The wonderful thing about that is the money comes and stays locally to Autism Speaks Columbus, which enables us to hand out grants locally. It helps our research at Nationwide Children's Hospital Autism Treatment Network. So it really is a really big deal. It's our largest local fundraiser that we do each year. And the best part about it is at the end of the year, I get to hand out grants to service providers who are focusing on transition services and, of course, early screening and intervention. So it's a great deal. We only sell the cookies 1 week, but you can round up all month long, and it's really important to our local autism community. So thank you for always taking pictures with our cookies and hashtagging every cookie counts, so getting us out there and making sure people are buying cookies. So it's a small thing to buy a cookie, but the impact is huge here in Ohio.
Impact is huge, and you had mentioned that this is your largest fundraiser. You raise a lot of funds that stay in the local community to help our families in Franklin County, and to give grants to organizations that address the issues that our families need, that are dealing with children and adults, young adults, adults with autism and autism spectrum disorders.
Right. It's very important. We work locally and nationally. One thing that you'll see nationally through the advertising this month is we partner with Sesame Street and the character Julia, and we're really hoping that helps extend to all socioeconomic groups and families out there, so we can really lower that age of diagnosis and change lives. So,
Yeah.
Great.
Well, we have a resolution for you as well, and we'd like to give that to you and get a
Okay.
picture, and we can have our cookies while we get a picture.
No, we gave napkins. Everybody has napkins. We'll do the cookies after. Delicious sugar cookies.
All right.
We should take our
You
cookies.
want to take the cookies?
We should take a
All right.
cookie.
Supposed to be able to do it.
Kevin, you want
Great. Can't wait.
Feeling,
to take
Bill
a
Gates.
cookie and we
Bill
can
Gates.
get our
That's
picture?
absolutely right.
Good idea. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just trusted Dorsey.
Yeah. Dorsey, no trust. You're in the middle.
All right, now get this one.
picture here?
Yeah, we're gonna get that. I'll get this.
on the arms on.
Oh, I'm not very good with my left hand.
Oh,
Here you go.
Maryland?
Not very ambidextrous. But surprised I got that done with my.
Thank you guys so much, so appreciate it.
I am always.
I need to be buttered out.
I'll move it on.
Thank you, baby. I will share. You didn't think to butter me up so
the cookies are good. Panera, any Panera.
You fell for that with John? I can't believe that.
Thanks for the
Okay, we now have National Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week
Oh, there you go.
celebration with Kay Dixon, our great director of Animal Care and Control here. Kay, come on up. And Dwayne is here as well. Dwayne Young.
Yes.
And any other staff here? Andrew here?
No.
April here? Okay.
Oh, Andrew is
Andrew,
here. I'm
come
sorry.
on The great team at Animal Care and Control. Welcome.
Thank you.
You want to
for
talk
having us.
about what we're doing with
Look at your phone.
animal care?
Yeah, this is it's National Animal Care and Control Recognition Appreciation Month, and we wanted to take the opportunity just to remind everybody of that and let everybody know how important and vital animal care and control is to communities. You know, we keep people healthy and safe, pets and animals, and sometimes our animal control officers are underappreciated for what they do out there by the public. They see the negative and not always the positive, so it's a great time to step up and just acknowledge all they do for us.
Awesome.
So thank you for having us.
Thank you for doing what you do day in and day out to keep our animals safe and the people who volunteer and work with our dogs in their care. So thank you for that. And we do have a resolution for you and would like to get a picture with all of you.
Thank you.
Did you bring any cookies?
Well,
Dog treats.
Or dogs.
They didn't bring you a dog?
Oh,
But you could go there and get a dog.
oh. I got it.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is. That's really good. Because it sits behind John.
Yeah. My brother.
Yeah. That's right.
Thanks, guys.
That is really cool.
Isn't that funny?
Okay, one more quick announcement, and then we'll get on to agenda items. We are very pleased this morning to release our State of the County report, and very proud to say our county is strong. It's our chance each year when we release this report to talk about all of the good things that we are doing. And we also know there's always room for improvement. So Please pick up a copy at the back of the room if you'd like to have that, or read the report online at report.franklincountyohio.gov. And we encourage you not to waste paper, so get it online if you'd like. Again, it's report.franklincountyohio.gov. And you can read about it in today's dispatch as well. Thank you, Mark. With that, we go back to the agenda and we'll need approval of the minutes of March 26, 2019 general session, and the minutes of March 28 and April 4th, 2019 briefing.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes,
The minutes have been approved.
great. County engineer.
Resolution 24819, resolution authorizing participation in the Ohio Department of Transportation winter contract for road salt, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cornell Robertson, Franklin County Engineer. With me today,
Fritz Crozier, Chief Deputy of Engineering.
and Commissioners, before I start, I would like to thank each and every one of you for the state of our county being so strong. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
You're part of that too?
You are part of the team, you know?
I'm happy to play a role, but you guys are leading the charge, and that means a lot to me, so thank you.
Thanks.
The first resolution is the annual resolution to participate in the annual ODOT road salt contract. It allows for a conglomeration of agencies to partner, increase the quantities to be bid upon, and therefore try to get lower unit prices. Pending any questions, we request your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 227-19.
Second.
Wait a minute. 248.
No.
Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Okay.
What's on the,
Oh, I got the wrong agenda, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my iPad.
trust the paper.
Yeah, I know, right?
When in doubt.
That's all right. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 248-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 24819 has been adopted.
Okay, we now have a public hearing. Can the clerk please read the public hearing notice?
Public hearing, resolution regarding establishing, altering, and widening of Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road at Havens Road, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed engineer to file plans as necessary.
All right, I am opening the public hearing for comment. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this resolution, on this public hearing? Seeing none in the audience, I will close this public hearing, and I would like to have the resolution read into the record.
Resolution 24919, establishing, altering, and widening of Reynoldsburg, New Albany Road at Havens Road, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed engineer to file plans as necessary.
Commissioners, this resolution is the second in a series of two to declare the project necessary and will allow us to move forward with the project to begin design and right-of-way acquisition if needed.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 249-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 24919 has been adopted.
I see we have another public hearing on this next resolution. Can you please read the public hearing notice?
Public hearing, resolution regarding establishing, altering, and widening of Alum Creek Drive at Roar Road, Hamilton Township and Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed engineer to file plans as necessary.
All right, I'm going to open this public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this resolution? Seeing no one in the audience on this resolution who would like to speak, I'll close this public hearing. And could you please read the resolution?
Resolution 25019, establishing, altering, and widening of Alum Creek Drive at Roar Road, Hamilton Township, and Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio, viewed engineer to file plans as necessary.
Commissioners, very similar project as the previous resolution. Again, this will allow us to move forward with the project, begin design, begin right-of-way acquisition if needed. It's the second resolution in a series of 2.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 250-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown. Resolution 25019 has been adopted. Resolution 25119, resolution authorizing the Franklin County engineer to enter into a contract modification with Shelley and Sands Incorporated for the Hamilton Road Improvement Project, an increase amount of $288,258.50 for a revised contract amount of $12,405,254.89.
Commissioners, on May 26, 2015, the board approved a resolution awarding a construction contract to Shelley and Sands, Inc. for the Hamilton Road Improvement Project. This resolution seeks approval to modify the contract with Shelley and Sands. They were asked to provide additional services, including replacement of an existing culvert and additional water line work. The additional cost for the water line will be reimbursed by the City of Gahanna. Pending any questions, I'd ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 251-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 25119 has been adopted. Resolution 25219, preliminary allocation and final encumbrance of county motor vehicle license fee, $5, funds for the City of Gahanna, in the amount of $415,000.
Commissioners, the City of Gahanna has requested to use a portion of their permissive fee funds to improve McCutcheon Road between Stigler Road and the Western Corp limit, as well as to resurface Morrison Road from the Southern Corporation limit to Taylor Road. County engineer has viewed the proposed use of funds and has determined that they meet the allowable use. Pending any questions, I'd ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of 252-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 25219 has been adopted. Resolution 25319, final encumbrance of county motor vehicle license fee, $5 funds to the City of Whitehall in the amount of $40,000.
Commissioners, the board previously passed a resolution approving preliminary allocation of motor vehicle license fees for the City of Whitehall to improve East Broad Street between Hamilton Road and Robin Wood Avenue. The city has submitted detailed design plans to the county engineer. Our office has reviewed those plans and determined that they meet the allowable use. Pending any questions, I'd ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 253-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 25319 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Sheriff's Office.
Resolution 25419, resolution authorizing the settlement of legal claims brought in the Franklin County Common Pleas Court, being case number 18CV-0849, styled as Barnes versus Craig et al., in the amount of $8,000.
Really good. That's fun.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Director of Administrative Services for Sheriff Dallas Baldwin.
Good morning.
This resolution approves the settlement of a bodily injury lawsuit from a vehicle accident that occurred on February 2nd, 2016. Per the recommendation of the prosecutor, this resolution offers payment in the amount of $8,000 to settle the claim. Any questions, I ask approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 254-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 25419 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Treasurer.
Resolution 25519, resolution authorizing a contract with Creative Breakthroughs LLC to provide deliverable-based services to the Franklin County Treasurer in the amount of $12,595.88.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mary McGovern, Budget and Purchasing Officer for the Franklin County Treasurer's Office, and this is Jim Holmes, our Chief Compliance Officer. If you don't mind, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some people, Ken Wilson, Chris Long, Adam Luckup, Carla Wallace, Wendy, and Carl in purchasing for their assistance in this resolution. I appreciate their willingness to help me and their professionalism when doing so.
Thank you.
Commissioners, this resolution seeks the approval of a contract with Creative Breakthroughs so that they may conduct a security audit to identify and help avoid any vulnerabilities to our current system. Pending any questions, we respectfully ask for your approval to this resolution.
I don't know who is the right person to ask this question since Ken's not here, but maybe Deputy Administrator, you can help me. Does every agency do a evaluation of their security risk and technology? Because it just strikes, I know that when I first came on, we were doing some, with the BOC, we were doing a lot of security evaluation in terms of technology and hacking and things like that. But is every agency doing their own assessment, and should we be, or what's the, if you don't know, we can get you.
Yeah, it's a great question, Commissioner. I do not know the answer well enough to give you one here this morning, but I'll certainly talk with Adam and we'll figure it out. My hunch is yes, but let me get that information for you.
Okay, thank you. Yep. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 255-19.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution 255-19 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board of Elections.
Resolution 256-19, resolution authorizing a transfer of general fund appropriations in order to provide the budgetary allotment for meeting April payroll and other obligations.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. As said, the resolution in front of you is with regard to appropriations for the month of April. The increase from April over March's appropriation includes a lot of the expenditures that occur relative to the upcoming May primary, as well as some of the additional expenses relating to the implementation of the new voting equipment. I asked Toya to share with you the draft of the mailer that I had mentioned during briefing session on Thursday. Again, it's a mailer that would go to every household, in registered voter household in Franklin County, and it would it includes information about the voting equipment, featuring our what we refer to as Mark, Verify, and Vote, which would emphasize the steps in the process and give the voters an explanation of, give them a view of the equipment, but also an explanation of how to use the equipment, give some detailed information about security, as well as about the disability-friendly nature of the equipment, and then also share general voter information. Again, it's a draft. I'm sure there'll be a few adjustments and location of information on there once we get more input from more of our staff and the board. But the draft does contain information, general voter information about early vote hours, how to be a poll worker, voter identification voters need to bring, registration deadlines, and so forth. And this would be designed to go out before the general election, so probably sometime in late September if we end up implementing this as a part of that education process.
Ed, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but I think it's important to ask the question, is this part of a comprehensive media plan that the board is still looking at, or is this?
This would be the major component of it in addition to the outreach for this year. So
This is a good piece of information. Director, do you know if the members of the board have reconsidered their position on whether or not to consider advertising the election this year?
No, that hasn't changed. We have a formal meeting coming up, and this will be presented as a potential solution. As I said, I've been working to again, try and scale back the costs and do everything we can to keep the cost down, which is a concern that was been expressed by some of the members of the board. And so some of the steps that we've taken specifically as to this particular flyer have cut back the cost significantly.
Appreciate all your efforts. But to your knowledge, no change in their
Not
intention.
at this point, no.
Thank you.
The reason I asked the question I did, and Commissioner O'Grady, I'm glad you asked what you did. There's an awful lot of information in this, and I think it would overwhelm anybody getting this. And unless there's other comprehensive information out there in other ways, I think this isn't going to do it. And it concerns me if this is the only thing going out.
Yeah.
And I'm still concerned about
It
not
needs a-
having a comprehensive plan.
That's
And
right.
I know it's not you alone, and I am concerned going forward as we get to the new machines, early vote and the general in this year and going forward, because I know I've had staff that have gone through the training for doing poll worker and supervising the poll workers, and it's not as intuitive and easy as everybody says, and I don't want to put the fear in anybody, but it's a change.
Yeah.
It's a big change, and it concerns me that we're not being as responsive to our voting public by doing a comprehensive voter education plan that includes all forms of media. And if you could just take that back to your members, I think it's critically important that we do so this year. As we're getting these new machines in, it's critically important.
I will relate those concerns. It's
This is not political. This is voting education.
right, and I have expressed those concerns about essentially the learning curve. That you're going to have some voters who will pick it up very quickly, very
Clearly.
intuitive, but you'll also have a percentage of voters, a number of voters for whom it isn't intuitive, and it's going to take a little
And
bit
it's a
more
lot
to educate them.
with new machines, with new processes, with your staff learning, and all the volunteers that do this work 1 day a year, 2 days a year, whatever it is. This is critically important that we get this right.
The fastest,
Why are we not spending the resources to do this right? I am just astonished.
in the fastest growing county in the state with the largest number of new Americans, and the only answer
Yeah.
that we get is because the location of
Hasn't
changed.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm just astonished that we're in April and we're still needing to do this month-to-month allocation because.
Yeah. I appreciate the commissioner's concerns.
This is,
and I will relate them.
every election is
Thank you.
essential and every election matters.
I would agree with you on
And
that.
this is no different. Yeah, that's where I am.
If there are no further comments or questions,
No.
move for adoption of 256-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
No.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 256-19 has been adopted.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ed, and
No, thank you.
sorry you had to hear it.
Thank you,
but-
Director.
Sanitary engineer.
Resolution 257-19, resolution authorizing a contract with Ohio Basement Authority for the sanitary sewer connections of single-family residents in the Money Bank and Brown Road East Services areas, Round 1, in the amount of $1,156,246.80.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Brian Stowe with the Department of Sanitary Engineering. Sanitary Engineer is requesting the authorization of a contract with Ohio Basement Authority to perform the sanitary sewer connections for the approved homeowners in the Moneyback and Brown Road service areas. Through RFP 2018-09-36, Ohio Basement Authority was determined to be the lowest and the best to execute this project for the county. In November 2017, the county owned sanitary sewer in the, excuse me, in the Moneyback Brown Road area became available for residents to connect. For the residents who might not be able to afford the cost of the mandatory connection, the sanitary engineer is offering full financial assistance for those who qualify. For round one of the financial assistance, we received 133 applications, and 87 of those were found to meet the program requirements and were approved. Ohio Basement Authority's scope of work includes making the connection from the house to the sewer, performing all needed plumbing work to ensure all drains are tied in, abandoning the existing on-site treatment system, and restoration of the property. All work performed by Ohio Basement Authority is covered by a 1-year warranty. Funding for this project was secured from Water Pollution Control Loan Fund, which is jointly administered by Ohio Environmental Protection Agency and Ohio Water Development Authority. Pending any questions or comments, I respectfully request the passage of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions?
We do have a speaker on this resolution. Ms. Nana Watson is here from the NAACP.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Commissioners. In order to speak, I had to select a resolution or you would not allow me to speak. So I do have a question for you. What about minority participation? The NAACP is always concerned about minority participation. Will you have minorities included in this project? And if so, who are they? And what good faith efforts have you used to do that?
So we are always open and looking for opportunities. In fact, I personally reach out to COMBA quite a lot to make them aware of our projects.
They're no longer in business. Go ahead.
Okay, so the contacts that I have with them, so we need to talk about that because I do have contacts. But so we are always, with our contract, and Ryan can actually speak to that, that there were, I don't remember exactly how many of the subcontractors there are with this that is helping Ohio Basement Authority.
WPCLF mandates DB participation, and that was met through Bridges Brothers Trucking, which was secured by Ohio Basement Authority and met the WPCLF requirements for this project.
Okay, how much was it?
I believe their anticipated portion is $50,000.
How much is the total project? 1 million. How much did you say this project was?
Project's worth $1.2 million and change.
1.2, and the minority business got how much? 50,000.
$50,000.
Oh, think that's fair? Did other minorities bid on it? How did you outreach to ensure that black businesses have the opportunity to bid on this project?
We followed the ORC requirements to execute this.
Well, I don't
this
know
RFP. So we reached out to everyone that, in order to work on our systems, you have to be a City of Columbus approved contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So that whittled down our pool. That was one of the requirements, and then the DBE requirements as part of the federal funding. That was, and then I work with Sharon Tubbs at purchasing. She works with, I don't know if Kuma was around at that time when this went out, but I work with her and I forget the other lady's name to ensure the small business, to make sure Marlise, that's it, Marlise Wicker.
I guess
Work with them to get the word out.
The challenge for the NAACP is we need to help educate the county and contractors on what good faith efforts are. Good faith efforts are you need to have plans available in the black community, you need to post ads in newspapers, you need to do outreach, because if you don't do this, this is where we're going to get $50,000 for a minority company on a $1.2 million contract. And for your information, Central Ohio Minority Business Association is out of business.
Yeah, I found that out.
Okay, so that's problematic. Commissioners, I would like to speak on some other concerns that follow along those same lines. I need permission to do that from you.
If you keep your remarks brief.
They will be brief.
Okay.
Okay, it seems as though the NAACP was sharing our concerns on the Memorandum of Understanding about the jail, and I believe it was 2 years ago. And we're here today to talk about the Memorandum of Understanding. We did a public records request. Tyler, is he? And Tyler just gave us this document, and I have not had the opportunity to review it. But in looking at one, the good faith efforts were calling, leaving messages, and an email. We need to see those emails, and we're going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb to understand what good faith efforts means to the county. And it's troubling to us. When I looked at the SBE report, there are 5 black contractors, 4 are from Alva County and the state. How did that happen? Taxpayer money leaving Franklin County. Is this stimulating our economy? There are 17 majority general contractors who have subcontracted to 10 companies which are located outside of the county and the state. Where is the good faith? Is it stimulating our economy? And do you know how to capture the data for good faith? Because emails and leaving voicemails is not a good faith effort. Want to know who captures the data, who reports out on it, and who follows it. Lastly, in the construction and inclusion team meeting, we wanted to know what are the repercussions if a contractor does not do good faith. I'm still waiting for that. And I'm troubled by it. We had Terrell Mock submitted a proposal to assist in doing good faith efforts. We don't know who tracks it, we don't know who gets it, and it's troubling. And I don't know what to do about it. So I'm asking you, what should the NAACP do about it?
This is the first I'm hearing of this, and I'd like some time to talk to our team.
Yeah.
I don't know where my colleagues are, but I was not aware of this as an issue.
First of all, let me thank Ms. Watson for coming down and testifying. I think your questions, your requests, and your interests are all legitimate, in that the standard to which we should be held as a county for inclusion is a high standard, and so we welcome and embrace the NAACP as sort of a third-party monitor, if you will, to help us with this, figure it out. Here's what I'll tell you in the way I understand this. We continue to make progress. That I think our efforts over the last couple of years, in particular with the jail project and many others, we are doing things that we haven't done in the past, and my colleagues have been, I think, very strong supporters of ensuring that we have an inclusive system. But I want you to understand something, that while we're making progress, we know we've got a ways to go. And so one of the things, I don't see Deputy Administrator Keena Smith here at all, but one of the things we did, if I could speak for my colleagues, I don't want to do, if I'm out of line, let me know, but we started a process to have an inclusive committee to help us really evaluate how Franklin County is approaching being inclusive and including women, minorities, veterans, so forth and so on. We're just getting to a point where we've got a draft of the plan, or of the sort of year spent. There's Deputy Administrator Smith, speak of the angel, to walk into the room. And so the point I'm making is that your requests should always be taken seriously, responded to in a timely manner, and you are always welcome to come here and hold us accountable for what is happening or what's not happening. But B, I will say, my personal opinion is I've seen a lot of progress in Franklin County in the last year. And whether it's the jail, I know in many cases the minority contractors that have been recruited or awarded contracts, we've had a limited, what do you call it when they qualify? Limited ones that have qualified, and so sometimes you're operating from a bigger pool. So the greater question is, how do we qualify more firms locally, more companies locally? And that's something we just got to do. We got to figure out and get better, and that's where the NAACP can help us.
Yeah, we want to be a part of the solution, not always coming here saying we don't like this. You need help, and we're here to help you, because I cannot have our taxpayers' money leaving the county and going to another state, Detroit. That's very troubling to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure which contract you're referring to on that
Well,
one.
I
but,
haven't.
But I'm sure, I trust you. I trust that you're saying it. I'm just saying I'm not sure specific of the contract. I'm only saying that we've got to do a better job of qualifying companies locally, minority-owned, and we
Absolutely.
should, in this next phase of our economic inclusion, that should be a component that we zero in on to ensure that, because it's not just about saying everybody that's a minority and you got a company, you're qualified. It's really about a variety of things, that standards that allow us to ensure that whatever work we're doing is the standard that we expect it to be done at. And so that's have nothing to do with minority. That's the experience of the firm. That's the resources that they bring to the table. And so that has to be something that we've got to qualify. So we just got to do a better job of creating a deeper bench, a deeper pool, and you can be helpful.
Yeah,
with
we
that.
are going to be helpful, but we've got to track those good faith efforts. I just
Absolutely.
don't think, I don't know.
I like that I'm sorry to cut you off, but I actually think that is a very good point about good faith efforts
Yes.
and what we're doing to advertise to make sure that these businesses out there know there are opportunities. And that's something that we can talk about. And we haven't gotten it perfectly right, but we're open to that kind of feedback, I think. And-
Absolutely.
And I think there's room for improvement. If you
There's
don't mind,
always room for improvement.
and I see Deputy Administrator Smith in the back. It might make sense for her to just give us an update too on the inclusion work, if it makes sense, Madam President.
Nana, thanks for coming
Yes.
down. Sorry if my back's bothering me a little bit.
Oh, no, that's okay. Thanks for
I don't
the
mean to be
cookie.
slunched over. My back's
Thanks for the
bothering me.
cookie, but it didn't sweeten me up.
You know that's not why I gave you the cookie. And I appreciate you coming down and calling us on the carpet, which we sometimes need that. Commissioner Boyce is correct. There has been we get weekly reports on where things are with the numbers, and the numbers have been, without question, heading in the right direction. The struggle that we have is that when you get into the details, that the firms, a lot of the firms that we're using, a lot of the companies that have not been from Central Ohio, and we know that, we've seen that, we've gotten those reports, and that's been a struggle here, and we have to figure out how to do a better job with that. We can't take solace in the fact that the numbers are better, when in the detail you find out that we're, as you say, we're employing folks and companies from other cities and other states. And that's a struggle that we have. And so while our numbers are good and we're employing a higher number of minority firms than we ever have in the past, if we're employing them from especially from that state up north, we can't be happy about that.
No, I'm
And so
not.
we got to do better. We got to do a better job, and we appreciate you being here to offer assistance with that. And so you're always here to offer assistance. You've always been here to offer assistance, and so thank you again for that. And we talk to staff about it on a regular basis, and so we just have to do a better job.
And we're here to help you, and thank you for indulging me about it, because the NAACP is very concerned. We need to help you do good faith efforts and share with you what a good faith effort is. And thank you so very much.
We understand, and thank you for being here.
Madam President, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, I think
Sure.
maybe a 30-second update from Deputy Administrator Smith would be helpful, because I want to know now, where are we in inclusive? And I
Absolutely.
think the public should at least hear some kind of brief update. I know we've got a draft of the results, but I'd like to just have them make a very brief comment. It doesn't have to necessarily be response to those things, but I think it warrants some kind
You
of
never know
presentation.
when you'll get asked.
Good morning, Commissioners,
Good morning.
and good morning, President Watson. Absolutely. And first, I'd just like to say that we really do appreciate the assistance and help that we have received from the NAACP and other members of our construction inclusion team. I think that you really articulated it well as far as we have been making what we think is really good progress. Right now, we have an aspirational goal of 12%, and we are at 22%. So in some ways, we are making great strides. There are other challenges with qualifying our local companies. When we look at, for instance, where there is availability, or firms that are even available to work on the jail in certain trades. We may find that we do not have companies here in our local jurisdiction that are actually signatory to the union and qualify under the MOU. Our outreach efforts have focused on bringing all of the companies to the table and sharing with them the opportunity to become signatory to the union. Our union partners are on site at those outreach efforts and have shared with the companies here locally what it takes to become signatory to the union and have made that invitation. And so we continue to have those events. We continue to bring information to local companies about how they can work on our corrections facility construction project. And Deputy Administrator Chris Long is here with me as well. As you know, she's our project manager on the corrections facility. And I'm wondering, do you have anything that you might like to add? And then we can talk a little bit about good faith effort too, if you want.
Thank you. I would just echo what Deputy Administrator Smith said as well, and certainly thank President Watson for being here. We have, in context, we certainly have more work to do. This is the first time we've had an aspirational goal, and thanks to the dialogue between the commissioners and leaders like President Watson and others that brought us to that space to be able to work with the prosecutor's office to have an aspirational goal. As was indicated, the aspirational goal is 12% on an incredibly difficult specialized project as the correction center, and currently we're north of 20% at the moment on aspirational goals. We're learning as we go through this process, and we do welcome that assistance to learn as we go forward on how to make sure that we are implementing what a good faith effort looks like, and where we can go from there. But in context, I think moving forward on an incredibly challenging project with market conditions that are astronomical, which is a wonderful thing for our community, but we got a lot of businesses and folks at work, which is wonderful, but that adds to some of our ongoing efforts in this field. And so is there work to do? Absolutely. Have we made progress? I would absolutely say yes. And we do need to continue to make more, without a doubt. But we're moving, I truly believe, in the right direction, and continue to look forward to moving even further ahead.
Well, I would just add that I think the good faith effort issue, I'd like to talk about that, offline. We'd have to continue this dialogue here, but there's value in listening to and doing better, in that area, and maybe, a lot of those small businesses they're just out there trying to eat, if you will, and they don't always have access to the resources we may think they do, and so there may be a little more we can do in that area. So I'd love to talk more about it and just see if that's an area that we can. There's some low-hanging fruit there that we can do a better job of casting the net a little wider. So
I think the other thing that can't be lost here are the comments about the difficulty of the project. This is a what, $3+ million project that is once in a generation
specialized,
very highly specialized project, and not to necessarily sell that in a way, but I mean it is everybody is kind of underwater. I mean, honestly, underwater is the wrong way to put it. This is just such a complex project, and we've got major trades involved here, and major design firms, and it's just this is the biggest thing biggest construction project we've been involved in since I've been here.
It's the biggest construction project we've embarked in as a county.
Yeah.
In
And not to say that because of that it's beyond any but it's just I guess what I'm trying to say by it is that it's because of that we are we're trying to get our arms around everything here, and we're trying to make sure that we're using everything available at our disposal, everybody available at our disposal. And so when we talk about all hands on deck, and we really need to get better at a lot of things, and including need to get better at figuring out how to use local labor. And so we really need your help here. We really need to figure out how to make this work.
Absolutely.
So,
If I may, Commissioners, I'd just like to add that we would welcome the opportunity to be as transparent as possible when it comes to our good faith effort. And so we would invite President Watson to review with us our good faith efforts and how we are tracking that and how we are kind of operationalizing. We follow the framework of the Ohio Revised Code when it comes to how we are processing good faith efforts. And so I would definitely want to invite you to sit with us and so we can show you how we're doing that. And we always look for, as you say, opportunities to be better. And so we will look for those opportunities and share those with you as well if you're open
Madam
to
President, I don't want to belabor this anymore, but I will say something that you also said, I think Deputy Administrator Long said, we need to talk about, and that's signatory to the unions, and ensuring that these businesses, there's a pathway to relationship and a role. I know, for example, the company that got the flooring contract, which is a minority-owned entity, I believe they hired local labor for that job, and that was a part of it. They understood what we were trying to accomplish there and what their role was. But very few companies, like I think it was Precision or something like that.
Yes.
Few companies of that size and that magnitude exist on to use Commissioner Grady's words, specialized in such a specialized project. And so there's something to be said about a deeper conversation beyond this project itself with regards to the signatory relationship with the unions and what our expectation is about that relationship with minority and women-owned businesses. And I think that's worth a deeper conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Commissioners,
And thank you.
there's one I just wanted to state for the record. President Watson, please know that there is a phase 2 later this year that we will be advertising for bid for connecting the rest of many others in the Money Back and Brown Road area. So I would welcome, please, any opportunity. If you'd like to come to my office or send any representative, please, I would definitely like to learn.
Thank you so very much. The folks at GPD.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners.
Director, thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 257-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution 257-19 has been adopted. Resolution 258-19, resolution authorizing a contract for professional services for funding acquisition services with EMIC Municipal Group, LLC, in the amount of $168,361.55.
Commissioners, for the record, Stephen Renner with the Department of Sanitary Engineering. Our department routinely needs assistance and consult and project management regarding the funding acquisition of loans and grants from the state of Ohio for continuous improvement of your capital assets. Furthermore, our department from time to time requires assistance to conduct income surveys consistent with the policies of your policies regarding the Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as to evaluate individual and personal applications for financial assistance via the CDGB program. And so we had published a request for proposal for such entity to actually help us manage through those. In March, we did receive and review from our published RFP through the purchasing department, and after careful consideration, our department has selected AMIC Municipal Group to perform the set of services, as I mentioned. Also, that's enumerated in the scope of services in Exhibit A, and I respectfully request your approval of the contract.
If there are no comments or questions, for adoption of 258-19.
Move approval, or second, I'm sorry.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution 258-19 has been adopted.
Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution 259-19, resolution authorizing a loan from the Franklin County Infrastructure Bank to the City of Hilliard for their municipal fiber project in the amount of $1,250,000.
Morning, Commissioners. Assistant Director Alex Barris of Economic Development Planning, joined at the dais by Josh Roth, who administers our Infrastructure Bank program. These are the next two resolutions for your consideration are our next two infrastructure bank loans from a suite of programs called SmartWorks that the Commissioners fund through sales tax general revenue, and it's really our flagship program out of those funds. These infrastructure bank loans are we think a really great way to catalyze, spur, and fill gaps in the current financing stacks for our communities for needed economic development projects. Quickly, just so everybody understands, they're low interest loans, very flexible in how they can be used. They go through a quick process, which is working with Mr. Roth, and he does a fantastic job kind of on the day-to-day and really shepherding these through. Sometimes these projects can be 2 to 3 years in the nature of putting them together. And then they go with our financial advisor, the PERNA advisors, where they get underwritten financially to make sure that they're a good investment for the county. And then third, that package is reviewed by a volunteer loan advisory board in which the Commissioners have appointed members, a cross-section of folks in our community to really vet our process in each project. So the first loan we have today is with the City of Hilliard for their municipal fiber project. This is really exciting because this is the third municipal fiber project that the Commissioners have considered financing in Franklin County. If you were to approve today, that would mean approximately 135 miles of municipal fiber that the Franklin County Commissioners have financed in Franklin County. And when we talk, as I've said multiple times to each one of you, when we talk about smart cities and smart infrastructure, everybody says, what's the first thing we need to do? And that's have a backbone of fiber infrastructure that's municipally flexible. So with that, we have David Meadows from Development Director from the City of Hilliard just to briefly talk about why this project is important to him and his community.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. Just want to emphasize how much our city appreciates this opportunity. The program, we wouldn't be able to do the scale that we're pursuing had it not been for this initiative. It works really well for municipalities. I think it's a pretty low risk for the county. So just the program itself is really beneficial to us. And frankly, this project fills in a gap on the west end of the county where municipal fiber doesn't exist. So this gives us choice, control, competition, and really is going to help us reduce our own costs for just having different providers that we can have within our own network. In fact, on the economic development side of this, we have a project in front of our city council right now for a manufacturing incubator, so attracting the type of project that we really need in our community.
That's great. It's good to be a part of something like this.
It's good to see you here today. I'm a Hilliard guy, so welcome.
Thank you.
I would just say this is a great partnership, good use of funds and the loan, and congratulations. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 259-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution 259-19 has been adopted. Resolution 260-19, resolution authorizing a loan from the Franklin County Infrastructure Bank to the City of Reynoldsburg for their Main Street improvement projects in the amount of $750,000.
So, Commissioners, this is a project that, as you guys know, I had Josh's position before I left the county and then came back, and this is a project that probably we've worked with the city of Reynoldsburg for the entire time that we've been talking about this infrastructure bank program. So I don't know if it's in its 5th year, but it's finally coming to fruition. And if you start to drive on East Main Street going through the central core of Reynoldsburg, you're really starting to see a lot of things come together. They've invested a lot of money in their new YMCA, but also importantly for us and from the county's standpoint on a retail sales tax, the actual, there's really starting to become a local retail and restaurant district there, just on the other side of the creek. And so this project is essentially making a complete street for their central business district that ties in their community assets with their business and retail assets there. And so that includes not only streetscape, street resurfacing, but also multi-use paths that will be connecting their community assets and fields and parks to those retail businesses. We had Andrew Bowser here today for a while, but he had to leave due to time restrictions. But I know this project is very important to them and something that they, just a quick plug of how flexible this program is. The city of Reynoldsburg did a bond issue a year and a half ago or so, but this project specifically was not in it because it wasn't ready to go yet. And so we were able to come in, cheap financing, flexible financing, and invest in this project to make it go forward to essentially connect all the other things that initial bond issue went to pay for. So respectfully ask for your approval of this loan as well.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 260-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce? Yes. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution 260-19 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Commissioners, we have a guest in the back of the room, Council President Shannon Hart.
I see.
Hey, Council President.
Welcome.
Just observing what we do down here at the county, I think.
Good to see you.
We usually don't
here.
have people stick around and watch what we do. Normally, they get up and leave as soon as they're done.
Good
He's
to
just
see you.
he's just hanging out in the back of the room watching what we're doing.
Well, nice to have you here. Child support enforcement.
Yeah, I'm sure he came over to just watch us and
No,
see
I'm
what
sure
we're
he's
up
here-
to. Yeah,
sure he's here to
yeah.
visit somebody,
Yeah.
but, you know.
Resolution 261-19, resolution authorizing a supplemental appropriation and the addition of one full-time position related to the receipt of federal procedural justice informed alternatives to contempt grant funds.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Susan Brown, representing the Child Support Enforcement Agency. This resolution authorizes the supplemental appropriation for the addition of one full-time support officer position for the Procedural Justice Informed Alternatives to Contempt Grant Project. It's an 1115 federal demonstration grant that tests the effectiveness of providing administrative alternatives to the traditional judicial contempt process. The grant is a random control trial where cases referred to our litigation department for civil contempt for non-payment of support are put into a treatment or control group. The treatment group receives procedural justice infused intensive case management services such as case conferencing, mediation, employment supports. The control group goes through traditional judicial contempt process. The PJAC support officers are now managing a treatment group of 664 obligated parents representing 1,050 cases. The grant has sufficient funds available to support this position. Pending any questions, I request approval.
This is great.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption 261-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 261-19 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Purchasing.
Resolution 262-19, resolution approving purchases for the for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,917,480.18.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carl Huesberg, Director
Morning.
of Purchasing. The resolution before you requests your approval of 95 purchase orders. Included in this resolution are 18 eligible purchase orders. These are defined as purchase orders in which small emerging business enterprises are likely to participate. Of these purchase orders, 14 were awarded to small emerging businesses, which is 77.8% of the eligible purchase order volume. The sum of these 14 purchase orders totals $156,899.39, which is 90.8% of the eligible purchase order dollar value. These purchase orders have been pre-certified as availability funds by the county auditor. Pending any questions, I recommend their approval.
We do have a speaker here to speak up in support of this resolution. David Caldwell from the Bread Organization.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. David Caldwell, and I'm representing the Bread Organization. We are glad that the county funds agencies who do great work in the community. We have listened each week as the Commissioners have approved funding for various requests. There is one funding request that we'd like for you to approve. We have had our members share stories here week after week. Hundreds of our members from all over Franklin County are struggling with housing. They are seniors, people with disabilities, single parents, recent college graduates, and others. We want to be sure that as the county finishes the poverty study and the economic development study, that you get to hear from our constituents. We have been asking for an increase in the conveyance fee to the maximum allowed by state law. We know that this won't solve our housing crisis. However, if this $2 increase went to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, thousands of additional families would be able to move into safe, decent, affordable housing. This includes seniors, people with disabilities, working households, and special needs populations. This is a solution that could be implemented in the short term as you continue to look at long-term solutions. I want to publicly thank the County Commissioner's Office for sending 5 staff members to our See the Need tour this past week. Our members appreciate and always respond positively to your presence. And lastly, I'd like to add that we want to see at least one of the commissioners at our Nehemiah action on May 6th. Columbus Councilmember Favor has committed to attend. We'd like to work with champions from both Columbus and Franklin County that night. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 262-19.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 262-19 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
Board of Commissioner resolutions.
Resolution 263-19, resolution authorizing a contract with Frikar and Eckler to perform services associated with Arbiters, Rebate, and Yield Restriction Compliance, and to serve as bond counsel and provide advice in public finance matters as needed during 2019 in the amount of $10,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Tlarik with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution follows up the resolution approved on March 19th, authorizing the court order for these services for the prosecuting attorney to apply for. Frikar and Eckler would serve to do our arbitrage, rebate, and yield restrictions compliance as they have in the past, as well as be authorized to serve as bond counsel and advice in other public finance matters as required. Pending any questions, would ask your approval of this resolution.
Oh,
Move approval of resolution 263-19.
second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 263-19 has been adopted.
I got abstain.
Resolution 26419, resolution authorizing a contract with Frost Brown Todd to serve as bond counsel and provide advice in public finance matters during 2019 in the amount of $10,000.
Commissioners, similar to the last resolution, the court order for these services was approved on March 19th, and this would have Frost Brown Todd continue to serve as bond counsel for the county. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
There are no comments or questions. Move for passage of 264-19.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 26419 has been adopted. Resolution 26519, resolution appointing Tom Poole to the Workforce Development Board pursuant to the requirements of the Workforce Investment and Opportunity Act 2015.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Janis, Deputy Administrator. Reminder, this is a joint appointment with the City of Columbus. Pending any questions, would recommend approval of this appointment.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of 265-19.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution 26519 has been adopted.
Great.
Thank you.
Any journalizations?
None at this time.
We are adjourned, and thank you, everyone. Who was your